Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Victini News. The second half of the season has begun as we enter week 5. Slowly but surely, the playoff race is picking up. To officially enter the second phase of the season, let's check out the week 4 results and see just who ended the first half on a victory. And with that, let's jump right into our first game between DJ and his Bob's Bishops against Baron and the Red Barons. It was a slow game to start the week, as we see DJ put Hazard on the field until Baron removed them and put Hazard on the other side of the field. A little bit of chip damage to everything on the board, as Toxapex and Clefable on DJ's side mostly heal up the damage that was done. The first major change up is when Reuniclus from Baron enters the field. It gets toxic, but gets a KO in return with Focus Blast against Lipard. Then we see DJ's Dragapult come onto the field and start Dragon Dancing. A huge Phantom Force makes him dodge the Moonblast from Primarina, who in turn takes another turn of burn damage and then gets KO'd by the Phantom Force. Dragapult then gets a second KO right away as he Dragon Dances the Houndoom. Venusaur then comes in and tries to stop it, barely surviving with 3% to Toxic the Dragapult. But Dragapult has Lumberry, and Dragon Darts again to pick up KO number 3, as Venusaur also falls. But of course, all good things must come to an end, as Scizor survives a Phantom Force with 1% HP, thanks to the leftovers giving him the needed HP to take out the Dragapult with a Bullet Punch. Mega Excadrill then comes in and takes out the low HP Scizor before Rotom Frost stops the Earthquakes from Garchomp and Blizzards 3 times in a row to take out both Reuniclus and Garchomp for the 4-0 victory for Bob's Bishops and DJ. Our second game sees Wolf and his Aeroshire Claydol versus Pandemonium and his Scarlet Knights. Right away, we have a 1v1 to start the fight. Wolf's Alcremie versus Pandemonium's Ninetale Alola. Alcremie sets up 2 Acid Armors in front of the special attacker to boost its defense, while Ninetales gets Aurora Veil up and wins the 1v1 thanks to Blizzards, getting the first KO of the match on Alcremie. I am slightly questioning why we are clicking Acid Armor in front of the special attacker, but seeing how without the Aurora Veil the Alcremie could have won the 1v1, there is an argument for that. The game then slows down afterwards as we see Umbreon hitting the field. Using its trusted Foul Play, Wish, Protect set, it quickly becomes an issue for Wolf to deal with. Palafin loses half of his HP, Sandaconda loses a decent amount of HP, and Chimecho falls to 2 Foul Plays, giving Pandemonium the second KO of the match. This does give Wolf the option to switch in his Palafin, as it KOs the Umbreon with Drain Punch. With a little bit of switching around, we get to turn 27, when Ninetales gets its Aurora Veil back up, but then gets crit Shadow Balled by the Spiritomb for a KO. Mega Fluette then hits the field and tries to Light of Ruin the Spiritomb, but misses, giving Spiritomb himself the option to set up Trick Room. Sandaconda then gets sacrificed to put the Palafin on the field. Ironhead into Flinch, and then Ironhead into another Light of Ruin miss. This Fluette does not want to hit anything in this match. Starmie tries to pick up the slack as it comes in to take the place of Fluette, but Wolf goes back into Spiritomb and Shadow Balls the star back to its Pokeball for another KO. Finally though, Fluette is back and it hits a move. Draining Kiss to take out the 10% Spirit Tomb, only then to get KO'd by Jet Punch Palafin. Totara comes back and hits a huge Seed Bomb to put Palafin at 22%, but also gets KO'd by the Dolphin Hero with an Ice Punch. Gudra, the final Pokemon of Pandemonium, comes in, survives on 1% HP, KOs the Palafin with a Draco Meteor, and gives us another 1v1 situation. Snorlax, 2 weeks in a row, is the final Pokemon for Wolf. But this time, it wasn't close. Heat Crash into Gudra to pick up the final KO and a 1-0 victory for the Ayrshire Claydol and Wolf. Continuing our recap, we have Viking and the Oslo Okidogis versus Solaire Bear and his Storm Fang Covenant. A good start for Solaire, getting 3 damage on Mega Grimora, managing to break Dragonite's multiscale and getting rocks up, while Dragonite misses the first Hurricane. But it doesn't miss the second one, as Hurricane one-hit KOs Solaire's Trevenant. Crocodile immediately answers with a scale shot revenge kill on Dragonite, but with Corviknight coming on the field, Crook has to leave and make space for Ninetales, who does manage to take a 2-hit KO on the Corviknight after losing 58% of its HP due to a Brave Bird. Then Mega Glamora comes back and hits a Power Jam on the Fortress. While in turn 1, Viking's Glamora had to retreat, it now can freely click a second Power Jam to get the second KO of his team on the Fortress. Crook comes back but is threatened out by Miascarada, who gets the KO on Ninetales. But Solaire's Ninetales still got Sun Up, which is huge as Mega Houndoom first boosts its speed with Flame Charge and then KOs the Bellibolt from Viking thanks to its solar power. Revealing Destiny Bond on Runegiris makes Solaire switch plans as he brings in Gyarados right when the sun ends. Perfect. A Dragon Dance later and the sweep has started. Earthquake to take out Runegiris, Temper Flare against Miascarada, and Earthquake against Glamora to secure the 3-0 victory for the Storm Fang Covenant. For our 4th game, we have the St. Louis White Cardinals from Blind Zero against the Death Valley Houndooms from Nightor. Nightor really wants to get his rocks up right away, as he sacrifices his Rhyperior to Blind Zero's Mega Delphox. Too bad Conkeldurr, who comes in afterwards, just immediately defogs them away. Ditto then comes in and transforms into a Zoroark Hisui, and thanks to 2 Sludge Bombs, eliminates Nightor's Mega Manectric. Blind Zero smartly pivots around, setting up a future side with his Cloaking, before switching into Kingambit. The Zoroark Hisui can't really damage the Kingambit as he gets KO'd by the future side, while Gambit sets up rocks again. Then Weavile comes in and smells an easy kill until the Choppleberry from Kingambit ends that, and instead Weavile is taken out by Kingambit, setting in a 2v6 situation. Quaquaval gets Nightor on the board as he takes out Gambit with an Aqua Step, then takes out Goloking, who came in to set up Future Sight. But Ditto once again copies the enemy Pokemon and close combats Nightor's Dancing Duck to KO it. With only Dragonite left, the Death Valley Houndooms set up Dragon Dances and catch Mega Delphox with a Waterfall to get another KO. Ditto comes in, copies the Dragonite, and does enough damage to technically get the 2-hit KO. But Blind Zero got worried as the Dragonite set up another Dragon Dance, and with a few flinches, the other Dragonite could potentially take out the Ditto and win the game. Going the safer route, he switches into Feraligatr, sacrifices the Alligator, and resets the transformation from Ditto to obtain the second Dragon Dance boost and win the match for his St. Louis White Cardinals with a 2-0 victory. Blind Zero did an amazing job controlling his Ditto in this match. For our projected match of the week, we had the undefeated Belfast Graffians from Mevchuma facing off against Tidal Town Tarantrums from Grixie. An early Endeavor play from Mevchuma sees him sacrificing his Lycanroc to put Gliscor at 1% HP. Not sure if that was really worth it, as we see Greninja, Scizor and Slowbro make a short appearance, until Blastoise starts his own 1 vs 1 against Clefable, and well, it was the fastest Blastoise around, but he traded it for accuracy, only hitting a single Hydro Pump. While Clefable tried to set up rocks twice, in the end it just decided to Thunderbolt the Blastoise for the second KO of the match. The trading continues as we see Hydrapple getting low, but using Regenerator to heal back up on the Graffian side, while Clefable had to leave with low HP as well. Arcanine from Grixie then decides to have another 1 vs 1 as he challenges Slowbro. He loses around 50% HP but takes it out. But that damage is enough for Mega Lopunny to take her first KO as she revenge kills Arcanine. Clefable then stalls out Typhlosion Hisui with Moonlight and Thunderbolts to take it out. Lopunny makes a return and gets Clefable low, and even survives with 1% after a Moonblast. But predicting the facade, Tauros comes in, eats it, and returns it with a close combat to KO the Lopunny. And with only Hydrapple left alive on Mevchuma's side, Grixie switches in his Mega Scizor, takes the Earth Power, and then damages the Hydrapple with Bullet Punch. This damage was enough for another U-turn to KO the Apple Hydra and give Grixie and the Tidal Town Tarantrums a dominant 5-0 victory. And with this, we have no more undefeated teams. Game number 6 sees the Twilight Absols from Roki Magishin facing the Fighting Lando Tees from Red Sox Alex. The Twilight Absols take control from the beginning, thanks to Kofagrigus. A burn here, chip damage on 2 Mons, and a KO on Hisui and Samurott. It showed its strength until it got taken out by the Charizard X. But not before setting up Trick Room, and thanks to Mummy, it made the Dragon Dance boosts from Charizard feel useless, especially as Sylveon comes in and Alex switches into Arbok. He does set up a coil and does a lot of damage, but in the end it gets taken out by Mega Skarmory. Though Alex's Noivern gets the revenge kill on the Skarmory with Flamethrower. Thanks to the earlier chip though, Mimikyu sees his own chance to come in and takes out both Klefki and Noivern, losing only his disguise in the process. Gardevoir does about half HP before Charizard X comes back in. Several Shadow Sneaks later, Charizard barely survives with 2% to take out the Mimikyu with Flare Blitz, getting KO'd in the process. And with only Gardevoir left, Sylveon comes in and takes out Gardevoir for the 3-0 victory for Roki Magishin and the Twilight Absols. A very controlled victory. In our second to last match, we have Rocketman with his Munching Munchlax against CB Freys and the New York Low Kicks. We start off by having mixed Caladon from Rocketman. He scares away Cleavor to set up rocks and an Earthquake Aegislash twice to get the first KO of the match. This is answered by Superior coming in and spamming Leaf Storm. He gets some solid damage off, but is ultimately KO'd by Talonflame with Flamethrower, before it can get even a single KO. The match continues with a 1v1 between Hataren and Florges, which gets decided by a huge crit from CB Fraser's Florges to get Hataren low enough for the KO. But Arch is back, and he gets the revenge kill with Heavy Slam, followed up by another KO with Draco Meteor on the cleaver. In the end, a Caladon is stopped by Infernape, who Flare Blitzes the bridge back into its Pokeball. This brings us to a 4v2 in favor of the Munching Munchlax. Mega Greninja comes in for the defeated Caladon and eats a massive Mach Punch, but ultimately gets the KO on Infernape. Mega Feraligatr does get the KO on the low HP Greninja with Aqua Jet and on the Decidueye with Facade, before Freeze-Dry Mamoswine comes back and takes out the Crook for the 2-0 victory for Recordman and the Munching Munchlax. And our final match of the week, we got the NC Noble Roar from They Call Me Gage against the Georgia Drillers from Mike. The fight starts slow as each coach slowly pivots around, taking small chip damage, losing an item, and missing moves. The first KO happens for the Drillers mascot as Excadrill takes out Guja, followed by Gage's Mega Meganium getting the first KO with Weather Ball on Rotom Wash. The fight continues as we see some more solid damage from Mousehold, but Excadrill manages to survive the low kick and get the second KO of the match, quickly followed by Mega Meganium taking out the Whimsicott in return. Gallade does manage to take a KO on Mike's Tyranitar, and then Meganium finally decides the small who gets more kills competition with Excadrill for itself, as it KO'd Excadrill with Solar Beam, before getting taken out by the Sandstorm from Tita. With 2 fighting types left, Mega Alakazam can come in and clean up with Psychic, taking out Sneasler and Gallade for the 2-0 victory for Mike and the Georgia Drillers. With those 8 games done, let's check out our current kill leader rankings. For those who are unaware, we are tracking kill leader, bounty hunter, and underdog. Kill leader is your normal kill-death ratio. The more kills you have, the better. The bounty hunter tracks the points of the Pokemons your Mon has taken out. So if your 12 points Blastoise takes out the 16 point Corviknight, it gets 16 points in the list. For underdog, you only get the point difference. So what does that mean? Well, Blastoise would get 4 points for his KO on Corviknight. If your Pokemon has more points than the Pokemon it takes out, there are no minus points. It just gives 0 points. Got it? Good. At the top, we currently have good old reliable Crocodile from the Stormfront Covenant. A Rain Sun team seems to be the perfect thing that Crook needed to show how it's done with his 8 KOs and only 1 feint. He's closely followed by Meowscarada from the Oslo Okadogis, even though the season hasn't been that great. The Pokemon delivers on second place with 7 KOs and only 3 feints, which for its team current scoreline is actually pretty impressive. Rounding up the top 3 is the undefeated Mega Altaria from the Twilight Absols. When it is coming, then he is winning, as it also has 6 KOs to its name at this moment. For Bounty Hunter, we have the same Pokemon on the top step, Crocodile, who has a 18-point lead at the moment, having 103 in total, so he is slowly building up an advantage. Will it hold? We will see. In the second place, we have Quaquaval from the Death Valley Houndooms with a total of 83 points. He has 6 KOs and has shown to be the one Pokemon Nightor can rely on to take out the big threats. Especially thanks to Moxie and Aquastep setting up its own sweeps when it can. And our third place is Scissor with 71 points. Base Scissor, not the Mega, from the Red Barons. And finally, our underdog rankings. Crook is only 5th, so don't worry, he isn't on the top spot again. The top spot belongs to Typhlosion History from the Belfast Graffians with a solid 30 points. A large lead compared to how close the rest of the rankings look like. With 6 KOs, it averaged a kill of 5 more points than its own worth. That is huge value. On second place, we have Taurus Paldea Aqua from the Titletown Tarantrums, and technically also Diggersby from the New York Low Kicks, both with 18 points, followed by 17 and 16 pointers. So everything below first can change with just a single KO. We continue with Nickname of the Week. This week, the winner is Charles, the Torterra from Pandemonium. His team was filled with Chris, and the Victini broadcast team had a chuckle when we realized that he wasn't called Chris 6, but Charles. I guess Charles is close enough to Chris. And for favorite set of the week, we have the Magician Mamoswine from Recordman, who is doing his best Ice Mage impression. He brought it in week 3 and now also in week 4 using Freeze Dry and Mamoswine's rather mediocre special stat to counter the water types his opponents had. Seeing how he got KOs with it, it shows that Mamoswine paid attention in Wizard School. We are technically 1 week behind at the moment with Victini news, but let's check out the matches that will be covered in the next episode of Victini News. We start with my projected match of the week, which is only that because it hasn't happened yet, when I am doing this recording right now. The Belfast Graffians from Mevjuma facing off against Bob's Bishops from DJ. Will Mev bounce back from his first loss, or will DJ continue to show us why he has the most differential out of everyone? Our second match is the Scar-led Knights from Pandemonium versus the St. Louis White Cardinals from Blind Zero. A rough season for Pandemonium so far, but winning this week will give him a chance to climb back out of the bottom of the league table. Losing might mean the end for his playoff dreams. Blind Zero, on the other hand, can position himself at a solid 3-2 with a win, and put his pinky towards a top 8 finish. The third game sees Wolf and the Ayrshire Clado fighting Nightor and the Death Valley Houndooms. Wolf comes from 2 wins in a row, looking to make it 3, while Nightor's situation is exactly the opposite. 2 losses in a row. Winning here is important to stop the downward momentum and bring himself closer to the top of the field, to climb back to a top 8 spot. Continuing, we have the Titletown Tarantrums and Grixie versus the New York Low Kicks from CB Thrice. Grixie is slowly picking up momentum, and with the win against Mevjuma, he's looking forward to qualify as early as possible for playoffs. In his way is CB Thrice, who makes a big statement for his own playoff chances by beating the Tarantrums. In the 5th match, we have Viking and his Oslo Okidogis playing against Recordman and his Munchane Munchlax. Does the S-tier curse continue, or will Viking bounce back and start the long journey back to the top? In his way is a Munchane Munchlax team who has shown a lot of different variety in their own moveset. Will Recordman catch Viking off guard, or will Viking be prepared and win his 2nd game of the season? Our second to last match is the Red Barons from Baron facing off against the Georgia Drillers from Mike. We stay in the middle of the table with 2 teams you can't underestimate. Hovering around the top 8 spot, each win counts here and will mean a lot for the final part of the regular season. They both honestly have good chances to win the whole league. And finally, we go back to the top of the table with the two 3-1 teams in Solare's Stormfang Covenant and Roki Magashin's Twilight Apsos. 4 wins is always a known mark for a close top 8 finish. Reaching it with just 1 loss most of the time guarantees a position in the playoffs. Who wants it more, the double weather or the trick room? We will see in the next episode of Victini News. Thank you everyone for watching. I am once again sorry for the delay. I am currently working on a way to keep Victini News the way it is, but make it a little bit easier for myself to both record and write. I might use the next weeks for some potential changes, so stay tuned. I wish you all good luck on your matches, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.